All right, so we're back with the tweet breakdown series, and this one's going to be about a tweet I posted yesterday, and it talked about how I wouldn't be so excited about sports betting education if it didn't have applications outside of sports betting. I wanted to just talk a little bit more about that because what I think sports betting does is I think it's actually a low stakes environment to learn how to think properly about, basically, I think learn how to think properly, period. So, the most important skills in sports betting that can translate over that you don't have to be, making six figures a year to learn, but that if you learn how to even just get to that point where you're winning a little bit, you're going to get these skills that are really going to pay off in entrepreneurship or other aspects of your life. And I wanted to give a quick rundown of what I think are the most important skills that sports betting can teach you, and I want to do it quickly. So first is you shed your bias. So in sports betting, you come in and you're going to have some certain biases. This quarterback sucks. That team's great. They always lose to them. These are things that will never help you. When in sports betting, what you have to do is you have to form an objective way to place your sports bets. You have to, build a model, use the market information and whatever. But what you can't do is you can't let your personal biases interfere with your betting, or else you will lose. And I think it's a good way to punish people who um, aren't getting rid of these biases, aren't second guessing themselves, are thinking in absolutes. So what it does is it kind of strips that from you. That's step one, and then you can kind of be like, okay, how do I create a winning sports bet? Like, that quarterback sucks, yes, but do they suck that much, or should I bet on them as a 14-point dog? Like, just because you think someone sucks, you can also think someone sucks and place a bet on them, right? Which is kind of mind blowing when you first step into the arena, but it's true, and it's something you have to be able to do. You have to be able to bet against people you think are good, bet on players you think are bad, and whatever. You have to create an objective process without bias to create some type of system that spits out your sports bets. Number two, it teaches you to think in probability. And this is really important because all of life is uncertain, and probability is all around us in our everyday life, right? Like, think in terms of probability. Like, you hop in the car and, yeah, you're probably going to live, but, like, people die in car crashes, and that can happen. Not everything is black and white, right? Just because something happened didn't mean it was always going to happen. So it teaches you to think like, well, they're probably going to lose, but I'm thinking in probability. I'm getting 2 to 1. They're not going to lose so much that that's a bad bet. So I can still think they're going to lose and bet at good odds, right? Because I'm thinking in terms of probability. Um, and I think a lot of people think, well, a good bet's a bet. If they're going to win, they're going to win. But that's just not the case because you have no way to predict if they're actually going to win or not. You have no way to predict how your life's going to turn out. You have to make the best decisions with the information and the resources you have at the time. That's something that's important in sports betting. That's something that I found to be important in life. And it also helps you like shrink, kind of shake off the losses a little bit because, of course, like, you're going to lose. So that helps you realize, like, no matter what, no matter how good your process is, it's all probabilities. So you will lose sometimes. Number three, it kind of is the extrapolation of that is emotional control. So when you do lose, it's like, okay, great, like, that sucks, but I'm prepared for that, and I'm gonna be able to go and place another bet that I think is a good bet. That's where you want to get to. It takes a long time to get there. It's very frustrating. I've broke many, mice in poker, and been very, very frustrated, and it's super, super hard. So this, I think, is the hardest part, but it's the biggest payoff because it allows you to create like emotional state, a lifestyle, an outlook that keeps you very steady if you're doing this um, for a long term, profit. And it's a huge, huge payoff. I mean, this, I would say I had a good friend of mine in poker. He's like, it's actually really funny now that, I've been playing poker forever professionally. If I catch some bad variance in traffic, I'm just like, okay, that happens. But I know other people who don't, are kind of outside the space. And if they're in traffic, it's like their world's ending. They can't stop complaining about it. But it's like, okay, it happened. That's just going to randomly happen sometimes. Roll with the punches. And I think advantage gambling does teach you how to do that very well. And then number four is how to honestly weigh and think from the perspective of your competition. In poker, this is very obvious. You want to understand what types of hands could they have, what type of player are they, how do they react emotionally to certain situations. That's obvious in poker. In sports betting, you're putting yourself both in the shoes of the sports book and your other bettors and understanding how the market interacts. What are their different goals? Do they have different goals that you can take advantage of if they're trying to do XYZ, but you're trying to do ABC? You might be able to find a loophole there. What are their incentives? All of this. But it also, you have to honestly weigh them. You can't be like, oh, I'm the best. Because if you think you're the best and you aren't, then you just lose all your money. So it makes you take honest stock of them, honest stock of yourself. I think that's like just super useful in everyday life as well. Being, it does help create this. It's weird, but it does kind of force you to create this like good muscle of empathy where you're always thinking about things from other people's shoes. You're trying to be very objective and fair with how you weigh them, weigh yourself, strengths, weaknesses of both them and yourself, and what's the optimal way to live in that environment. So I do think that's also very underrated skill from advantage gambling to real life. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Hope that was somewhat useful. But the main point is, when you're learning to win betting, if you're just grinding it out, going from zero to like $5,000, the payoff you're getting isn't those $5,000. That's very minimal. It's the skills. The skills are worth way, way more than those 5,000. So just stick with it. You're learning amazing skills, and it's very, very hard to do. So don't get too frustrated. My DMs are open if you're stuck at some part of this journey. And yeah, hope everyone has a good day.